Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela has been once again the target of an attack against its electric system, according to statements made by the Minister of Internal Affairs locating the action in the Guri electric facility. Chile enters a day of electoral reflection after the culmination of the campaigns of candidates who will compete in the second round of the presidential elections to be held this Sunday. The Islamic Revolutionary Corps have dismantled a terrorist organization and large amount of weapons and equipment were seized. This is from the South. I am your news anchor, Diego Martin, from the Telesur studios in Havana. We begin with the news. The Minister of the People's Power for Interior Relations and Justice of Venezuela, Néstor Luis Reverol, denounced on Friday a new attack on the country's electric system. In a telephone conversation with the state channel Venezolana Televisión, the minister said the attack took place in the Guri electric facility in the south of the country. Reverol said officials from the electric corporation, Corporelec, were in place to restore service in the states affected by the blackout. The government representative stressed everything is being done to stabilize the country's electricity system as soon as possible. Among the affected areas were included different zones of the capital, Caracas, as well as areas of the states of Zulia, Mérida, Carabobo, Miranda, amongst others. The Bolivarian nation was the target of a series of attacks on its electric system in 2019 with a series of nationwide cuts. After registering the highest number of prison massacres in the region in 1 year, the government of Ecuador set up a commission for the pacification of prisons on Thursday. The commission will design plans for the social rehabilitation system. The president, Guillermo Lasso, signed the executive decree formalizing the creation of what will be known as a Commission for Penitentiary Dialogue and Pacification. The group is made up of 9 members who will have to elaborate strategies, plans, and projects to strengthen the national system of social rehabilitation. Its creation is part of the 7 points of the National Agreement on the Prison Crisis, which included a process of reconciliation through dialogue as a goal. The initiative comes after more than 300 deaths were registered in 2021 alone between inmates.
The Commission will analyze the causes and effects of the current prison situation in order to establish a pact of internal coexistence with dignity and co-responsibility.
The Prime Minister of Peru, Mirta Vázquez, welcomed the motion approved in the Foreign Affairs Committee of the Spanish Congress, which backs the government of Pedro Castillo. The Premier also asked the Spanish executive to act in order to guarantee the stability of the Peruvian president's administration. Vázquez declared that the government greatly values the approval of this motion in the Spanish Parliament in regards to ratifying the existence of democracy in Peru, as this recognition is a sign of the legitimacy of Castillo's government. The motion, which supports the result of the presidential elections of last June, was approved this Thursday with 19 votes in favor and 14 against. The initiative was promoted by the political party Podemos in Spain following allegedly disrespectful expressions toward Castillo by the president of the Peruvian Congress, María del Carmen Alba, on her recent trip to Spain. The president of Bolivia, Luis Arce, thanked the support given by the indigenous native farmers peoples to his administration after the conclusion of a national summit on the autonomy of the sector. In a message posted on his Twitter account, the president expressed his satisfaction with the conclusion of the summit. He also expressed that the native peoples of Bolivia are a living expression of the cultures of South America. The president also highlighted the approval of a manifesto that makes it clear that the law of the Economic and Social Development Plan 2021 to 2025 does not undermine indigenous autonomies. The event was also the stage for a debate on the permanent threats from some groups that do not accept plurinationality and long for the days of a colonial republic. The event also served to analyze different issues such as economic and productive reconstruction, knowledge, and culture. After validating the number of signatures collected by political organizations, trade unions, and the population in general, the Electoral Court of Uruguay finally confirmed that a referendum would be held on March 27th against one of the most controversial laws passed by the government of Luis Lacalle Pou. Our correspondent Mateo Grillo has the story.
Voted by the main Uruguayan social movements to vote yes or no to the repeal of the most negative articles of the law of urgent consideration of the government of Luis Lacalle Pou has a date. The second part of the campaign began on Wednesday, December 15, with a rally in front of the University of the Republic. One stage ended on December the 8th when the signatures were counted, and the court also decided that the referendum will be held on March 27, and now another begins. The campaign begins our efforts for a yes vote on the pink ballot and for the Uruguayan people to emerge victorious on March 27 and eradicate the 135 articles from our legal system. The event was called to celebrate the confirmation that there will be a referendum. In the coming days, more than 1,000 activities will be held where the main reasons for repealing the contested articles will be explained. These 137 articles have a cross-cutting series of things that do not do the country any good. They are detrimental to the participation of society. They are clear-cut in the sense that they do not protect the most dispossessed. They establish mechanisms that do not provide guarantees for everything, such as the State Intelligence Department that only reports to the President and nothing to the National Parliament. There are a series of things that, as people become aware of them, I think they will be decided to vote yes. The event included artistic performances and a reading of statements to encourage citizens to commit themselves to the repeal.
We have to vote yes because we have to tell this right-wing neoliberal government with fascist components that we the workers are here, that we the people are here, and that we will not accept backward steps, but that we are moving forward towards the productive country with social justice to which we have always aspired.
The government, the political opposition and social forces are already gearing up for the referendum, the results of which will be decisive for the second half of the presidency of Lacalle Pou. According to the most recent polls, with 3.5 months to go, he has a slight lead, but all analysts agree that the endgame is wide open, absolutely open.
We'll be right back after this very short break. Don't go away. Hi, welcome back to From the South. Chile enters a day of electoral reflection after the culmination of the campaigns of the presidential candidates who will compete in the second round next Sunday. As established by the Code of the Electoral Service, as of this Friday, the electoral ban is in force, and for 48 hours prior to the opening of the polling stations, proselytizing acts will be prohibited throughout the territory, as well as polls and advertising. At the same time, the electoral authorities are fine-tuning details regarding the deployment of voting materials, the security of polling stations, and health protocols. In this context, the closing day of the campaigns was also marked by the death of dictator Augusto Pinochet's widow and a consequent wave of reactions. With 3 days to go until the second round of the presidential election in Chile, the candidates held massive campaign closing ceremonies where they tried again to convince the undecided, hoping to achieve victory at the polls. This is a contest that will determine the course of the southern country. The conservative candidate by the Social Christian Front held an event in the Comuna de los Condes where, in an attempt to shake off a macho image, was preceded by different women who are part of his command and was introduced by his own daughter. He assured that on Sunday his victory is assured and will be so by a wide margin. He referred to his contender, saying that he is a good person but with bad ideas and company.
But I have great news for you, that on Sunday we're going to win, and we are going to win with an important difference. Because dignity is what we lack, but true dignity. Not that dignity that some want with violence, someone with intolerance, someone to take that intolerance, that violence to tell us what dignity is. That is a false dignity. We're going to work for the true dignity of the people.
And the candidate of Apruebo Dignidad, Gabriel Boric, assured that his government will not neglect the health sector and that it will advance in the task of building a plurinational country hand in hand with the Constitutional Convention and the native peoples.
We will also create in our government, and we have discussed this. These are not ideas that appear in a meeting of politicians in a commando, but they are the product of the social struggles of many, particularly in this case of the health workers. I want to talk to you about the fact that in our government we will create a universal health system that does not discriminate between rich and poor, so that everyone has the right to be healthy. It is difficult to talk about the first thing we are going to do when we enter government, but what we are certain of is that on that day we will not enter alone, but with us the people will enter.
The third plenary session of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of Cuba began in Havana, presided over by President Miguel Diaz-Canel Bermudez. The bond with the people was the focus of a good part of the first day of the plenary session, where draft modifications to the organization's regulations were discussed from the base to the Central Committee level, as well as those related to the processes of admissions, sanctions, and deactivations. A proposal with actions to revitalize and update the functioning of the committees for the defense of the revolution and the Federation of Cuban Women was also presented at the meeting. During the 16th graduation of police cadets in Nicaragua, President Daniel Ortega recalled the principles of the Sandinista National Liberation Front and its priorities in the defense of sovereignty, peace, stability, and the fight against poverty. From the Revolution Square in Managua, the president paid tribute to the national hero, General Benjamin Celedon, and recognized the graduates' responsibility to protect their citizenship. The head of state also honored the resistance of indigenous peoples against the Spanish colonization and the struggle of Augusto Cesar Sandino against the United States troops. Ortega also pointed out the history of the Central American nation has been inspired by the commitment to sovereignty, integrity, and dignity of its men and women. He reiterated the need to defend peace as an essential condition for the development and stability of the country.
That is why peace is so important. That is why we have to defend peace, because only in peace can those benefits be achieved, to benefit the people, to benefit the youth, even those who have more wealth, the businessmen, the producers, who have more wealth, who have more resources, can achieve benefits only in peace.
Solo en paz pueden alcanzar beneficios los que tienen más riqueza, los empresarios.
We have more stories coming up after this final short break. Stay with us. Hi, welcome back. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps ground force disbanded and destroyed a terrorist team in Sistan and Baluchistan province in Iran. In a statement, the IRGC announced that a terrorist team was plotting sabotage and terrorist attacks in the Sirvan area. During the clashes, 4 members of the terrorist group were killed and a large amount of weapons and equipment were seized. The intelligence unit also dismantled an arms trafficking network in Khuzestan province, southern Iran, 11 days ago. The arrested smugglers imported weapons through the southern borders. In this operation, dozens of pistols, heavy machine gun, AK-47 rifles, and a large quantity of ammunition were confiscated. The cities of Aleppo, Syria, and Damascus celebrated UNESCO inscription of Hudud Halabiya on the list of human heritage affirms. Syrian Minister of Culture Lubanam Shaweh said with the listing, the world recognized them as builders of civilization, adding that this achievement opened new windows which will be expanded. The decision referred to the Hudud Halabiya tradition and its importance for the intangible heritage, as well as its ability to provide communities with sources of resilience and boosting peace and dialogue among them. Hudud Halabiya, which literally means music from Aleppo, is a form of traditional music with a fixed melody where singers often improvise lyrics according to what is happening around them. The United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization included a traditional Syrian musical genre from the city of Aleppo on its representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. The recognition is seen by Syrians as a new triumph in their battle against terrorism, which has been trying to erase their cultural identity for more than 10 years. Our correspondent Hisham News has a story.
The Syrian Minister of Culture announced the news at a press conference during which she denounced that after more than 10 years of terrorist war, Syria today faces an economic and psychological blockade aimed at destroying its identity and will and undermining its ability to resist. She clarified that with the inclusion of Al-Qudud al-Halabiyya on the representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity, the country broke the blockade and managed to place itself on the world cultural map, allowing it to move onto the world tourist map.
The inclusion of our Qud on the World Heritage List confirms that no one can tear us away from our roots and alienate us from our culture, as the whole world now recognizes that we are the builders of a civilization and that our culture inherited through generations is recognized worldwide.
Syrians celebrated the news in the capital's iconic Umayvad Square, singing and dancing to the traditional music of Aleppo al-Qudud. They praised UNESCO's action as an additional step in safeguarding their cultural identity dating back thousands of years, as well as a Syrian victory in the struggle to preserve, protect, and defend national heritage and pass it on to future generations.
This event shows that despite the terrorist war that attack our cultural identity and our heritage, we are able to show the whole world that our intangible heritage is our identity, that we will persevere and pass on the new generations.
I congratulate all the people of Syria for this achievement, which is a victory that shows the culture and civilized nature of the Syrian people. And today, with this achievement, the name of Syria and the flag of Syria will be held high thanks to the civilization and cultural creativity of its people. Al-Qudud al-Halabiyya is a traditional musical genre typical of the Syrian province of Aleppo in the form of a uniform melody sung to the accompaniment of musical ensemble in a religious context. This year, it joins the Damascene Rose and Shadow Play inscribed on the Cultural Heritage List in 2019 and 2018, respectively. Symbols of Syria's rich and diverse culture far removed from the terrorist ideology that, for more than a decade, has been trying in vain to propagate in this Arab country.
European Union leaders failed to agree on how to respond to the ongoing problem of the high energy prices at the ongoing bloc summit. After 2 rounds of negotiations lasting for hours, leaders finally gave up on plans to adopt a joint statement on energy, with member states disagreeing over the causes of the surging prices. Since the summer, natural gas prices all over the globe have spiked as European countries rely on imports to fulfill their gas needs. But with stronger than expected economic recovery, lower supply from Russia, and high demand in China, prices for gas have reached record highs, hitting more than €100 per megawatt hour. At the previous EU summit in October, member states agreed on a set of national measures to cushion the effects for the most vulnerable citizens. At least 27 people are feared to have died after a fire broke out in an in preliminary reports before a death is officially confirmed. The local fire department said the blaze was successfully extinguished within half an hour after it burned across an area of approximately 20 square meters. No damage has been reported to other floors within the building or any neighboring properties. All of those feared dead were reportedly in a psychiatric clinic on the 4th floor of the building located in a busy commercial and entertainment district. Police are investigating whether the blaze was started deliberately. 11 people, including 2 foreigners, died on Friday in flash floods which swept through northern Iraq after torrential rains in Erbil, capital of the autonomous Kurdistan region. In a country dealing with severe drought, many were caught by surprise as powerful storm waters started surging into their homes before dawn. Local officials confirmed that the two foreigners' casualties were a Filipino national and a Turk. The provincial governor, Omid Koshna, reported significant damage, especially in a working-class district southeast of Avril. The country has been hit by a succession of extreme weather events, enduring blistering temperatures and repeated droughts in recent years, but has also experienced intense floods. The severity of the drought has forced many farming families to leave their land and seek a living in urban areas.
My son called me and told me to come here at night because there is a flood. Thank God we're fine. The most important thing is that we are safe. Everything else can be fixed. The water level reached around 1 meter 60, 1 meter 80. The reason is due to the neglect of the government and the lack of a solid plan for that. The same thing has happened before. This is the third time floods hit us. There are no sewage systems or anything that saves us from danger.
We've come to the end of this news brief. Remember, you can find these and many other stories on our website at Tulsa English. You can also follow us on social media for the latest news. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Telegram. For Tulsa English, I'm Dio Martin. Thanks for watching.